warriors held off the massive charge, their experience and professionalism paying dividends as they cut down wave after wave of enemy.
Okay, all right. I'm impressed. First Battle of Tarain. The first Islamic conquest of India suggestion that I am doing. Okay, very slow build up.
The Battle of the Talas River was a decisive moment for the history of Central Asia, even though its effects were not immediately apparent. Abbasid victory not only stopped China's westward expansion, but also determined...
Whoa! The Abbasid Caliphate and China fought each other. Wow! And it stopped China from expanding. Wow!
Crossroads of Asia. The ensuing centuries saw the gradual conversion of local populations to Islam, among which were the warlike Turkish tribes, nomadic warriors that were especially gifted horse archers. Their mastery of horsemanship hadn't gone unnoticed by the Muslim caliphates, who recruited them to serve as an elite arm of their own armies. However, in the wake of the breakup of the Abbasid Caliphate into smaller states and sultanates, these elite Turkish warriors emerged as the power brokers in the region. One of the first breakaway sultanates was founded by Mahmud of Ghazni. Today's video is sponsored by World of Tanks.
Garbage game that I don't care about. Let's continue, man.
Under the leadership of Mahmud of Ghazni, the Ghaznavids became a significant power, and he was among the first to adopt the title of Sultan. Mahmud was able to inflict a series of military defeats to the Hindu Shahis, and for the first time penetrate into the heartland of India. He launched 16 large-scale raids targeting the wealthy religious centers, with the ultimate goal of amassing fame and wealth within the Islamic world.
Blows my mind how, bro, India is criminally underrated, bro. I mean, after all, isn't that like where like the Indo-European family started, right? Like India, right? That subcontinent, right? Like I like kind of do this myself, where I would like kind of like make jokes on Indians, and I would like take a piss on Indians, not literally, but metaphorically, just say a bunch of jokes about them. But I'm still aware of the influence that the Indian subcontinent has had. All right, I'm not ignorant about that.
However, he did not try to retain a permanent foothold in the area, and the locals were able to recover from Ghaznavid raids. But with the death of Mahmud began a gradual decline, and by mid-12th century, one of his former vassals, the Ghurids, a dynasty of Tajik origin, gradually asserted their authority in the Ghor region, quickly expanding their power base until they eventually sacked the city of Ghazni in 1149.
I see.
Emerging as an independent power. What followed was a period of expansion that would lead to the formation of the Ghurid Empire, under the leadership of two brothers, Ghayath al-Din and Muiz al-Din, also known as the Muhammad of Ghor.
So many empires in this region. There's so many, bruh. But my favorite one was definitely the what was it? The Haptolite, bro. Freaking Timur, his empire. I don't think anyone can come close to Timur. Probably Alexander the Great and Napoleon.
On the western domains of the empire, while Muhammad, after helping his brother to secure the west, looked southwards to India. But unlike the Ghaznavids that came before, Muhammad aimed at carving out an empire in India, and the nearby Rajput kingdoms appeared ripe for the taking. In India, this was the time of the Rajput kingdoms. Rajputs were a loose grouping of patrilineal...
Good on you, History Marsh, for pointing that out.
Subcontinent.
I was reading this, by the way. Good on you. It's like how the word Byzantine didn't freaking exist, but it was just a freaking term randomly coined up that everyone like uses, and people thought that they were so smart for using it. In reality, they weren't. They were very ignorant.
After the dissolution of the Pratihara Empire, their former feudatories established decentralized power bases all over central and western India. Many kingdoms sprang into existence, all culturally and ethnically indistinguishable from one another, yet mutually antagonistic. Between 1000 and 1200 AD, the Rajput kingdoms had to face constant incursions and invasions from Turkish tribes. During the times of Muhammad of Ghor, northern India was divided into three main power centers: the Solanki Chalukyas of Gujarat, the Gadavalas under Jai Chandra at Kannauj, and the Prithviraj Chauhan of Ajmer and Delhi. The most prominent of these kingdoms was that of Prithviraj Chauhan. By 1178, Muhammad was intent on attacking India, and his main invasion route led directly through Prithviraj's domain. His first intended target was the Chalukya Solanki kingdom. Subsequently, he sent an envoy to the court of Prithviraj, attempting to persuade the Indian king to come to a peaceful agreement. According to the terms presented by the envoy, Muhammad would agree to provide passage and divide the Solanki kingdom with Prithviraj. In addition, he demanded that Prithviraj convert to Islam and accept Ghurid suzerainty. Prithviraj rejected, but failed to send reinforcements to the neighboring kingdom that was about to be attacked. Undeterred, the Ghurid ruler amassed a mobile army of Turkish horse warriors and marched on a circuitous route through the Thar Desert and into the outskirts of Chalukya territory.
Alright.
After many days...
This is a very... Then again, though, this video was made 3 years ago, so I'm not really surprised. Very slow video right now, but sometimes it pays off.
Hunted by a large Chalukya army on a valley near Mount Abu. Muhammad's army, tired and dehydrated from the long march and unable to use the mobility of its cavalry within the narrow valley, was forced into a close quarters frontal battle against the Rajputs and was eventually routed. However, the fleeing Ghurid army was not decisively pursued by the Chalukyas and thus avoided total destruction. Nevertheless, the invading army suffered heavy casualties during the battle and the subsequent retreat back across the desert. In spite of this setback, Muhammad was not a man to be disheartened by adversities, and during the following decade, he set out to rebuild his forces and expand his territories into Peshawar. He then advanced with his army and took Sialkot, and by 1187 he conquered Lahore, executing its ruler, thus ending the last remnants of the Ghaznavids. Now, his realm bordered Prithviraj's domain, and between 1187 and 1190, a series of minor and medium probing incursions were launched. The situation escalated rapidly, and in 1190, Muhammad concentrated a large force of horse warriors and advanced against the important border fortress of Bathinda. After a brief siege, he was able to capture the stronghold and placed a garrison there, under the command of one of his generals. News of Bathinda falling to the enemy soon reached Delhi. The shock of the loss of this significant stronghold galvanized Prithviraj into action. He called upon his feudatories, quickly amassing a large army, and marched out to meet the invaders. Upon learning of the king's approach, Muhammad set out with his mounted army to intercept him.
The battle is finally coming up. A very long prelude. This is like one of those times where, damn, I really didn't have anything to say. Usually I have something to say, but I don't know, that prelude is like, what was there to say? It's like I just had to sit there and just watch it. I prefer not to do that because I don't want to be like one of those people who just sit there and like just stare at a freaking screen. But when oh my gosh, freaking fly, damn it! Every time I freaking record, there's always a fly. That is another reason why sometimes I have to like keep my mouth closed. There's always like a fly. I'm pretty sure it's attracted to my freaking big lighting. I have two big lighting lamps right next to me, providing me good lighting so that y'all can actually see my face, you know. It's funny because before I had my lighting, people actually thought I was dark skinned when it was clear that my lighting just sucked.
Met on the fields of Tarain, some 150 kilometers north of Delhi. While exaggerated contemporary accounts place the size of Prithvi Raj's army at around 200,000 troops, modern historians estimate that the Rajput army did not exceed 50,000 men.
That sounds more believable.
They were ferocious warriors who excelled in close combat, which they generally favored. Indian metallurgy and weapons were renowned for their quality and generally enjoyed a reputation as the best in the world.
Whoa!
Further edge in close quarters fighting.
Wow, no, that is actually surprising. The best in the world. Wow. All right, India. Okay.
On the other side of the field, the size of Muhammad's army was similarly exaggerated, with original sources claiming that around 100,000 troops arrayed on the field, while the actual size of the Ghurid force was around 15,000 cavalry, which included camels, but their exact number is unknown. Although substantially outnumbered, Muhammad's mounted force was comprised of professional Mamluk slave troops, agile and fast-moving horse archers, who were superior to their feudal counterparts. The two armies represented opposite ends of the military spectrum. On one side, a feudal force of slow-moving, undisciplined but courageous warriors, with little to no experience in dealing with complicated cavalry maneuvers. And on the other side, a swift and fast-moving mounted army of professional soldiers, almost exclusively composed of steppe cavalry that excelled in mobile warfare. The Ghurid army deployed in a standard Turkic battle formation, with an advanced guard, a strong center, and two wings. A relatively small reserve of elite Ghulam lancers was kept in the rear. Across the field, Prithvi Raj deployed his army in a linear formation, with two wings and a center.
Looks like he has more troops though. Oh nah, Yeah, I was gonna say those elephants, man. Oh, bro, when I watched that team war, bro, those elephants, bro. Nah, bro, he's gonna win. If he loses, wait, this is the first Islamic conquest of India, so he probably lost, bro. How do you lose when you have elephants? You trash.
The battle began with a probing attack ordered by Muhammad. The horse archers of the vanguard galloped towards the huge bulk of the Indian army and began peppering their formations with arrows. Prithvi Raj's response to this was immediate. He ordered an all-out frontal assault. This surprised the Ghurids, who weren't accustomed to the Rajput style of warfare.
Jesus.
Muhammad's vanguard retreated toward their main line.
You better.
Moved so rapidly.
You better retreat, man. You get crushed, man.
To respond accordingly. Before Muhammad could maneuver and adapt to this general charge, his vanguard's retreat was blocked by the men behind them. And the Rajputs were quickly closing in.
Oh no, they're gonna get crushed, aren't they?
Incredibly, the Ghurid warriors held off the massive charge, their experience and professionalism paying dividends as they cut down wave after wave of enemy.
Okay, alright. I'm impressed.
The Ghurid flanks, Muhammad's entire line was dislodged.
Yeah, that's
gonna see that his army will be overwhelmed.
Yeah, that's gonna be very short-lived, isn't it? Yeah.
This melee slowly began to turn in favor of the Rajputs, who were able to display their prowess in close quarters.
Flank them. take some of your troops and flank them. Like, come on, you have troops in the back, flank them.
And the sheer weight of their numbers became a decisive factor as the Ghorid flanks were gradually driven back and cut off from their center.
Bloody hell, just take some troops in the back and just flank them and you win the battle. I don't know if you can see that though.
Of the Indian onslaught, Muhammad's troops on the flanks broke and fled. Meanwhile, the war elephants and cavalry of Prithvi Raj's center that had driven back the Ghorid vanguard onto their front line kept the Turkish center under sustained pressure. Here, too, the light horsemen were outside of their element, hemmed in by the immense pressure of the relentless Rajput advance, and unable to use their mobility, they began to waver. Muhammad now understood that the battle had reached its critical point. Seeing his flanks routing and his center on the verge of collapse, he charged into the fray, attempting a personal last-ditch effort to reverse the course of battle.
Bro, how did he...
The general soon came face to face with the commander of the Rajput center, Govind Rai.
1v1 me.
On an elephant, personally charging his front lines. As soon as Muhammad spotted him, he hurled his spear at him. Govind Rai was able to block the projectile with his shield, but the impact broke a few of his front teeth. In turn, Govind threw his spear, critically wounding Muhammad, almost knocking him unconscious.
Ooh, wow.
Himself, Muhammad of Ghor was saved by the heroic actions of one of his bodyguards, who was able to lift the Sultan onto his horse and spirit him away from the battlefield.
What type of movie? This is like straight out of a movie, except Muhammad is not the main character. The other guy is.
Leaderless Ghorid army, seeing their general carried off the battlefield, broke and routed. The Rajputs pursued the retreating army of Muhammad for almost 40 kilometers, but they couldn't match the pace of the fast-moving steppe mounts of their enemy. Muhammad underestimated the strength and ferocity of the Rajput frontal assault and their ability in close combat. Prithvi Raj's audacity and explosiveness caught the Ghorids off guard and forced them to an engagement that played into his own strengths. The commander took the initiative early in the battle and retained it throughout the engagement, forcing his enemies to react to his actions and rendering them unable to employ their advantages in mobility and firepower.
Yeah, they just went straight in. They just went all in, man. What the heck?
Was incapable of completely pinning them down and destroying them.
Wait, so why did he say this is the first Islamic conquest of India? Bro, they got smoked. Bro, the freaking Indians smoked them.
Their retreat. And although Muhammad of Ghor was now retreating, he would live to fight another day.
I'm surprised he didn't die from that. He got critically wounded. He got critically wounded and he lived. That is okay. Maybe Muhammad might got some plot armor. Anyways, you made it all the way to the end. Very slow video, but nonetheless pretty entertaining. Make sure to like it. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Check out my other Islamic reactions on my channel. And goodbye.